up guys, and welcome back to Dark Matter. So as promised, I've been using and reviewing the Google Pixel tablet over the past week. I'm ready to give you guys my thoughts about this. It's been integrated into my Google Nest Home system over the past week or so, and I've already got some pretty strong thoughts on it that I want to share with you guys. So let's get right into it. So I'm a sound guy, and the first thing I want to go over with you guys is the sound of the Pixel tablet. So I tend to appreciate a more bass heavy sound. I listen to a lot of bass heavy music, and that's just more the style that I'm into. I know it's not the most audiophile sounding profile or anything like that, but that's the sound that I tend to gravitate towards. I like a bass heavy sound. And on that front, I gotta say the Pixel tablet combined with its included dock does not deliver. There's not a strong bass sound at all. It's way more treble heavy. So you're gonna hear a lot of the highs. It's gonna sound a little harsh to your ears, but yeah, it's very treble heavy. After a few days with the Pixel tablet, I actually did remember that with my Nest Hub, there's EQ settings built into the Google Home app where you could go in and tweak the bass and the treble and that sort of thing to your own personal liking, which got me thinking like maybe there is a way to do that with the Pixel tablet. But I've searched through the app, I've searched through the Google Home settings, the Hub settings, every setting I could think of, and I could not find an EQ to tune that sound to your liking. So I was a little disappointed in that. And while it does sound good when it's paired up with my Nest Audios and they're all playing music at the same time, on its own standalone, it really doesn't sound that good. And honestly, I don't think it even sounds as good as my Nest Hub 2nd gen. That may be personal preference, it may be biased just because I'm used to it, but overall the sound profile of the Pixel tablet with its dock was not to my personal liking. Now EQ is something that they could add maybe in a software update or something like that, so I'll stay on the lookout for that if I do decide to keep this device. Next, I want to talk about its functionality as a smart speaker in my Nest Home system. So as I talked about in my unboxing, my intention was to replace my Nest Hub 2nd gen with this, and for this to kind of become the central hub of my Nest Home system. And that has not been without its flaws for sure. The first glaringly obvious flaw for me was the lack of a certain accessibility feature that I've gotten pretty used to on my other Nest products. It's a chime that plays after you say the trigger word, kind of letting you know that the Google Assistant is listening to you, and it plays again after it stops listening to what you're saying. So you have more of a clear idea of if Google actually heard you or not. I'm not sure if everybody uses this feature, but it's a really important feature to me because I'm never sure if Google is actually catching everything I say. Sometimes I talk a little slow and I'm not sure if it picks up on what I'm saying. It also lets me know if Google's even listening at all, which unfortunately with the Pixel tablet a lot of times it's just not. I'll say the trigger word and look over at the tablet to make sure it's listening, and there's just nothing there. There's nothing on the screen. And the funny thing about that is I moved my Nest Hub into my 2nd bedroom, and even my Nest Hub will pick up on when I'm saying the trigger word and try to respond, even though my tablet should be the one responding because it's in the same room as me. Which is another thing that's missing, is the ability to set the sensitivity for the trigger word on the Pixel tablet when it's in dock mode. And maybe these are settings that I can't find, but that's a problem in and of itself. A lot of the settings for the dock mode, like for instance the one where it adjusts to the ambient lighting, are now sometimes shared settings. The ambient lighting one is the Google Nightlight, which is adjustable in the display settings on the tablet, which is insanely confusing, especially if you're coming from Nest products and you know where the settings are for these things. You suddenly have a product in your ecosystem that you don't know where the settings are, and you have to look through each individual setting and try to find out where these settings are that you've been using on your other products. The dock settings as a whole just seem kind of like an afterthought. Like there's no settings for when to dim the screen or when for it to go into kind of its sleep mode. You can't really adjust that. You have to go into the digital well-being settings and actually adjust the tablet to go completely to sleep and just shut off at a certain time, rather than being able to just have it dim the screen and show the time at all times, which is kind of important for me because when I wake up in the middle of the night and I'm walking through the house or, want to do something, I often look to the display to see what time it is. So I like for it to be showing the time. I don't want it to shut completely off, but I don't want it using the full screen clock all the time using that much power. I'd rather it use less power and just display like a small clock that's not really in the way or anything. I don't know, maybe other people don't use them as clocks, but I definitely do. And so that just seems like something they left out. And speaking of nighttime, that's another functionality that I've noticed that the Pixel tablet is missing, is the sleep sensing that is on my Nest Hub. I recently started using that on my Nest Hub and I really enjoy it. Granted, for me and my ecosystem, the Pixel tablet was never meant to replace the one on my nightstand. This was meant to replace the one in my main room, so it was more the central hub. It wasn't going to be doing any sleep sensing anyways. But for the people that do use that and maybe wanted to replace it in their bedroom, it's just a missing feature. There's no access to that yet. And I get that a lot of that stuff can be added with software later on, but with Google, then it's always a waiting game. So when they release these new products, they're half-baked at release, and you just gotta wait for the features to get added at a later point that's undetermined until it happens. And that's just a frustrating way, I think, to do things, because they have plenty of time to develop these products, and you hear about these products being developed, and so you expect when they're released for them to be able to do everything that they're supposed to do. And like I said, with this Pixel tablet, it just kind of feels like the docking part of it, even though that's one of the main features, was kind of an afterthought and kind of like cobbled together at the end or whatever. So that brings me to how this tablet functions as, well, a tablet. And honestly, it's not bad. It's not bad at all. I find this form factor to be really nice. It feels good in hands with the aluminum back. It's super light, which encourages you to kind of pick it up all the time. And it does most tablet things well. Now, to be completely honest, I'm not over here like doing any hardcore gaming or anything like that on the tablet, so I can't really tell you how it performs there. But everything that I do on there, from like watching YouTube to streaming other content to just kind of web browsing and emails, stuff like that, it performed really smoothly, really well. The screen is super smooth. I think there's a weird magenta hue to it, kind of, especially when it's displaying like white elements on the screen. There's just kind of this magenta hue that's really noticeable during the daytime. But I don't think that's a big downside. The screen is pretty crisp. It obviously is HD. I definitely could see you using it as like a casual tablet. And like I said, the weight of it encourages you to kind of pick it up off that dock, bring it to the couch, bring it wherever, and just kind of lay back and enjoy some content on it. However, when you're putting it back on the dock, that's when you kind of run into some issues. I think Dave2D mentioned in his video that he had a hard time aligning it on the dock correctly because there's no sort of guides and the magnets just aren't strong enough to kind of snap it into place, which is good when you're picking it up off the dock. You don't want the magnets too strong to where you really have to pull it off the dock, but when you're trying to just like pass by and just nonchalant put it on the dock and keep going on about your day, it's not like that. You kind of have to focus and like line it up just right for it to snap onto the dock. It's not something you're going to be just doing in passing unless you get really good at it, which maybe you could after a while, or maybe with their case that includes that stand, you could actually align it a little easier, but just the tablet by itself, it is not going on that dock easy. I'm not really going to go over the actual app experience on Android tablets right now because I feel like that's been thoroughly covered, and I more just wanted to go over the Google Home aspects of it since I already have all those Nest products. The Android app ecosystem is what it is. It's getting better, but it's taking a while for improvements. Look, I kind of want to emphasize this is Google's first take with this specific product form factor. They have taken on tablets before, but they've never really done the best of both worlds. I feel like this is a good first offering in this product category that no one else is really doing. Yes, there's a lot of flaws, but I think there's going to be a lot of people that are happy with this, that are maybe Android users and they're looking for a good Android tablet. This is a good Android tablet. And it's a good way for your Android tablet to get some use when it's not being used as a tablet. And I think that's important because you're not always using a tablet. A lot of times tablets are just kind of sitting there unused uncharged, maybe, whatever. So this is a way for you to kind of use the tablet when you want the entertainment factor. They've made it really light and really holdable so that you just want to pick it up and use it for, whatever amount of time, and then put it back on the dock. And then when you're not using it, it's serving as a Google Home speaker, and maybe not the best one, but they can improve that. And I hope they will improve that. But I gotta be skeptical because of Google's track record. They have a tendency to just release products and then kind of neglect them because they're not getting the traction they wanted right away. And then eventually they'll just cancel the whole product line instead of actually improving it and getting better. But this really feels like a good time for Google's Pixel lineup. They finally have kind of almost full ecosystem of devices that work well together. And if they keep building this and they keep improving upon it, then I think eventually they'll have an ecosystem that can rival that of like an Apple or a Samsung. And I think they'll genuinely drive adoption by doing that. And it does take time. It took a long time for other companies too. But I think Google has the money to do it. And I think that they have their own special features and their own unique way of looking at things that makes the Google ecosystem a viable ecosystem, and I would love to see them be successful in that. So I really hope that they'll work on this and improve it over the years instead of just dropping it after one iteration. But that's about all I have to say on the Google Pixel tablet. I've been happy with it for the most part, but I'm most likely gonna go ahead and return it and just stick with my Nest Hub 2nd gen. It just didn't quite fit into my ecosystem the way I thought it would, but we'll see. Maybe the 2nd generation Pixel tablet will improve on a lot of the things I talked about here, and it'll be a better product for me. Whatever the case is, thanks for tuning into Dark Matter again. I appreciate you taking the time to watch this. Please give me a like if you like this video. Leave me some feedback in the comments and subscribe to follow along for more. We'll see y'all in the next one.